All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and untangle the wild, multi-layered mysteries of a werewolf society driven entirely by scent. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're breaking down a story that completely flips the script on the standard tropes you might expect from a fantasy romance. We're talking about a kingdom where literally everything, your worth, your alliances, your very survival, is dictated by what you smell like. But what happens when the most powerful guy in the room makes a choice that completely defies all of that logic?
So keep this central question in the back of your mind as we go. In a world where a single breath tells a wolf everything about your bloodline, your temper, and your deepest fears, why on earth would an Alpha King deliberately claim the one bride that absolutely terrifies every other wolf in the kingdom?
Section 1. The Scentless Bride.
Imagine this brutal, biannual marketplace for survival called the Reckoning. Twice a year, the unwanted wolves are lined up, basically treated like wares. And the buyers judge them the way wolves always have, by taking a breath. If you got no scent, like our main character Senna, the buyers completely recoil. I mean, they literally stumble back as if they've just walked off a cliff. And if you're not chosen, you're shipped off to the silver mines, which is for sure a death sentence.
You see, being scentless doesn't just mean you forgot to put on perfume. In this society, it means you're fundamentally cursed. They believe no scent equals no fear, no bloodline, basically no soul. They look at Senna not as a person, but as a whole shaped like a woman. She's the ultimate outcast, totally unreadable. And that sets up a massive twist for later, because as we're gonna see, being totally unreadable is exactly what the king is looking for.
When the king steps up and claims her, shocking absolutely everyone, by the way, he lays down these super cold, rapid-fire terms. The marriage contract is just incredibly sterile. He demands an heir and 4 public appearances a year. The rest of the time, completely separate lives and absolutely no love. He even tells her straight to her face, "I will never love you." It's totally transactional, safe, and it creates the absolute perfect contrast for what actually goes down behind closed doors.
Section 2. The Alpha King's Curse.
Okay, let's look at this incredibly fatal historical pattern in the royal bloodline. Great-grandfather dead at 36, grandfather dead at 31, father dead at 38, which was masked as a hunting accident, but actually, it was the fever. The rule is brutal. Not a single king in his bloodline has ever passed the age of 40. They all get consumed by this terrifying madness, this fever, that turns the man completely into a feral, unstoppable wolf that eventually has to be put down by his own royal guard.
And it all stems from this thing called the ancestral bargain. Basically, an ancient ancestor was terrified of kings who were ruled by their mates, so they struck a really dark deal. Any king who truly loves his mate is going to die. The wolf will violently consume the man. So the king chose a scentless bride specifically to outsmart this curse. Because the mating bond lights up through scent, he figured a scentless bride was his absolute safest bet. He could do his duty, never bond, never fall in love, and avoid triggering his own horrible death.
So the expectation here was pure safety. But the reality? Despite her having absolutely no scent to trigger that primal wolf bond, they connect on a fundamentally human level. The king eventually admits, the man did without the wolf's permission. He fell for her anyway. And this unexpected, genuine romance is the exact trigger that awakens the curse, putting his descent into feral madness into absolute overdrive.
Section 3. The Lost Luna Callers.
Now, historically, there actually was a solution to this. The moonless Luna Callers were the legendary healers of the kingdom. They were the old blood, folks with this totally unique magic that let them walk right into the deep winter of a wolf's feral madness. Using nothing but their voice, they could just sing the man back to humanity. So they were literally the perfect countermeasure to save a king dying of the fever.
But we've got a massive problem. Right now, entire packs are breaking. 40 wolves went feral in a single week out at the failing border. To put that in perspective, that is a massive, escalating crisis. They're having to put down local farmers, sons, you name it, because once a wolf goes feral, they can't be brought home. Nobody's been able to cure this for a century.
And the tragedy is, history completely erased its own saviors out of fear. 100 years ago, the ancestors of the very king who is dying right now ordered the crown to burn the callers out of the kingdom, root and branch. People were just terrified of the magic, assuming the callers were the ones causing the madness instead of curing it. They completely falsely blamed the medicine for the disease.
Section 4. The Mother's Dark Secret.
Let's look at this timeline because it gets super dark.
Senna's mother, at just 9 years old, stood in a crowd and watched her own mother, Isel, who was the greatest caller of her generation, burn at the stake. Terrified of this magic being found in her own bloodline, when she saw Senna developing caller powers, she literally branded her 13-year-old daughter with silver to permanently seal her magic away. That silver brand is exactly what made Senna scentless. But then, we hit age 15, and the whole tragedy with Rowan. See, for years, Senna thought her leaked magic somehow caused her betrothed, a boy named Rowan, to suddenly go feral when she was 15. But actually, scratch that. Rowan didn't go feral naturally. He was dosed with Moon's Bane. Senna's brother Bram uncovers these old apothecary ledgers proving their mother bought this incredibly rare botanical poison. It slowly rots the wall between the man and the wolf. Rowan was deliberately poisoned to force a catastrophic feral detonation.
So why on earth would her own mother do this? Because Rowan confessed he didn't want to marry Senna, he was actually deeply in love with Senna's brother, Bram, and they were planning to run away together. To protect her noble house's political standing from a scandal, the mother slowly poisoned Rowan, orchestrated his feral outbreak right next to Senna, had him put down, and then blamed her scentless, magical daughter for the whole thing. It is just an unbelievable display of pure villainy disguised as familial duty.
Section 5. Taming the Feral King.
Okay, we've hit the climax. The king is dying, the fever's taken him. Senna's brother manages to bring her the key to finally unlock that silver brand their mother forced on her. To get her power back and save her husband, she has to follow 3 incredibly intense steps. 1. Break the seal. 2. Enter the deep psychological winter of the wolf's mind. And 3. Use her caller abilities to find the man inside and bring him out by voice alone.
But the risk here is astronomical. Before she goes in, an old caller gives Senna this crucial piece of ancestral advice. Hold to something of yours. The price of singing a man out of his wolf is steep. You have to go deep into the winter, and it is so easy to just drown in that magical space and forget why you even went in to begin with. This advice is the one anchor keeping Senna from losing her own mind.
With the old woman guiding her from the outside, Senna has to pull the Feral King back from the absolute brink using nothing but her voice. Bring him up hungry, child. She literally has to make the human part of him want to survive more than the wolf wants to consume him. It's this incredibly high-stakes psychological battle, completely represented through magic.
And here's the brilliant payoff. In all the screaming madness of the feral wolf's mind, the king latches onto one impossible low note: Senna's single, steady heartbeat. Because she's scentless, she isn't overwhelming his predatory senses. The very trait that made her a cursed outcast, that hole shaped like a woman, turns out to be the exact void needed for her true power to shine through. She sings the king back to humanity, and in doing so, shatters the ancestral fever in his bloodline forever.
And the aftermath ties everything up beautifully. Brutal justice is served. Senna's mother is convicted of Rowan's murder and sent straight to the very silver mines she used to threaten Senna with. The king officially strikes down those centuries-old extermination edicts, and a massive sanctuary is built to bring the remaining Lunacallers out of hiding. Peace, balance, and magic are completely restored to the realm.
This story does such a fantastic job using its magic system to tackle huge themes like generational trauma, historical revisionism, and prejudice. If an entire society could erase its only saviors out of pure fear, replacing actual history with a convenient lie, what other vital truths do you think are buried in the lore of your favorite fantasy worlds? Keep questioning those hidden histories in every story you pick up. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me, and I'll catch you on the next one.